You're listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental.
TMZ, oh my goodness.
I mean, what are we doing here?
I think he's the philosopher of football.
It's great that everyone can give their opinion.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Find me. Find me. I don't care anymore. So drain my bank account.
Everybody up here, every single day, goes into the office, into the laboratory, to try to cook up some great stuff for you guys.
That's why he's here.
Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the MLS studios in Midtown Manhattan. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Matt Doyle, David Goss, Bobby Warshaw. Change has come to the Extra Time universe, guys. Radio is gone. Got rid of it. No sentimental feelings about it at all. Done and dusted. It's the exact same show, and that helps. Except now, as maybe you're noticing, we're on YouTube. MLS's YouTube channel. Go check that out. So yeah, just act natural, Bobby. Just be cool, man. Just be yourself, okay?
He hasn't said a word yet, so he's in his lane.
It's a typical opening.
Perfect spot. Do you guys feel good about this? Do you feel comfortable? Are you mourning, lamenting the loss of radio?
I don't feel comfortable because I'm dressed up. I was led to believe this was a black tie event, so you could see that I brought it.
Well, you're led to believe a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that any of the things are actually happening. Like I said, look, we dropped the radio. It's okay. It's not something to mourn.
No, not at all. I mean, if you listen to the podcast, it will actually get better because we've actually gotten better equipment. So it will sound better.
Wait, that's not how it works, man.
Really?
We've been doing this podcast for a long time. It has not gotten better.
No, but now it will from where it was. I'm not saying from the original days.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Like what I'm saying is the Knicks will be better next year than they were this year, but they're not going to be better than the 1967, 1968 Knicks.
You know, it's kind of funny
I don't know why
because I was looking back through the archives, and there are shows back in the day with Greg and Simon and Jason Sagini and Nick
Chet
Kershaw
Messing.
looking much like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So MLS's YouTube channel, that's where the full shows will live. We will push out clips to you on our social media at Extra Time now, not Extra Time Radio, at Extra Time, still Extra Time at MLSsoccer.com for the email. Now we have turquoise, so that's cool. I feel like it's a good color for us. It's bright. It's bubbly.
We're Inter Miami already.
Boom.
We're ready to go.
Well, they're actually pink. But
Yeah.
No, I know, but turquoise
Sure.
is like a Miami color.
Okay.
Doyle's going to be coaching that
You could have
team
said
in-
Miami then. It's not Inter Miami.
What?
Well, you're just having a shot.
Everything
I
is in
feel
MLS
good.
terms
I feel
on this
good.
show. All right, coming up on this show, 2019 player predictions. It's our tradition. Every single year, we go around the room, MVP, Rookie of the Year, comeback, everything under the sun, and then we invent our own categories, of which we have many for this season. We also have Taylor Twellman in the second segment to help us do some predictions and also bring the flavor that only he can. Jon Weinbach, the executive producer of We Are LAFC, will join us as well to talk through that documentary. 10 episodes live right now on ESPN Plus if you want behind the scenes of 2018 with Bob Bradley and the New Boys. And then Sam Stejskal, the Bird Dog, will be here in just 1 second to talk MLS offseason. Who won it? Who's the winner? And then in the mailbag, your predictions, player Baerantees, etc., etc. Just so you know, and I'm sure you already do, MLS is back on Saturday, March 2nd, Matchday Central from noon to 1 to get you started. At 1 p.m., Philly-Toronto on TSN ESPN Plus, and we have Orlando NYC. That's on Univision and Twitter, so you can watch it for free from anywhere. Columbus, New York, the first game back in Columbus since #SaveTheCrew. LA, Chicago, Seattle, Cincinnati, Cincinnati's first game. Both those final two games on FS1. Then on Sunday, it is all ESPN, 6 p.m., DC, Atlanta, 8:30 p.m., LAFC, Sporting Kansas City. And then at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, the very first MLS Matchday Central that will serve as the match of the day concept. Is that what it is, Doyle? Is that what you would call it? I mean, it's a half hour. It's everything from the weekend.
I think so, yeah. Match of the day type of thing where we sit down. It'll be a rotating cast of characters. I think all of us that you see here will be regulars on it. Trying to break down the most important storylines, touching on every game. Bobby going to the board and spitting out something incomprehensible. Anyone
Bobby,
could
are
play
you on
left
this
back.
Yeah, are you going to participate, or you have to lean in a little
Say
bit?
one thing.
You guys are doing well.
Okay.
Keep it up.
Appreciate it. This is the defensive midfielder.
Bobby's
at work.
U13 took a big L last night, so he's
Not feeling so good about it?
You're really going to bring that up in the first segment, Matt? You're
No,
gonna
I mean,
start
we
the show
just
that
got to
way?
get you engaged somehow.
You do wonder now, we have to follow all MLS results and what happens for our show, and then Bobby's youth leagues to see what personality we're going to get the next day. It's a lot of soccer to cover.
That's a good point.
Hard.
It dictates the content that comes afterwards. I'm going to start you here, Bobby. I'm going to give you this opportunity. Let's talk CCL fever, a mixed bag of results, some of which we talked about on the last show, but the ones I want to dig in on are Sporting Kansas City, big winners against Toluca, who, by the way, may be without a coach after their result against Santos Laguna this weekend. And then Atlanta United, Herediano, Costa Rica. MLS teams have only won, I think, 4 times down there for a reason. And 3-1 went the scoreline, but not the way that the Five Stripe fans thought it might go. What happened?
Starting with Sporting, they were amazing, weren't they? They were awesome. They came out with a couple new wrinkles tactically, playing with 3 in the back in the build-up, Seth Sinovic as a midfielder, Graham Zusi as a right center back, which I don't think any of us ever thought we would saw. But more than anything, they were just sharp. It didn't look like a preseason team. It didn't look like it was a team that was playing their first game. On the ball, off the ball, they were just excellent, and Toluca couldn't keep up.
And Toluca just sacked their manager, by the way. It just happened now. And they
Breaking news.
Nice tease by me there.
Yeah, they took a big L this weekend as well. Yeah, Bobby's right. Sporting just ripped them apart, and it started even more than last year when they were a very possession-dominant team. It started from the back. It looked like Peter Vermees is asking more and more of Tim Melia, and Tim Melia looked like Zach Steffen or Sean Johnson out there in terms of his ease of distributing to his guys, and that even continued when Toluca pushed numbers up and tried to take away Fontas and Beasler and Zusi as the primary options. It was really impressive. 3-0 win is the first time since 1997, only second time ever an MLS team, a U.S. team has beaten a Liga MX team by more than 2 goals.
Huge result. Massive result. And as you said, they've now lost their coach. It feels pretty safe to say that Sporting Kansas City will move on, but they still got to go down to Mexico. Words. I know. That is the whole theme of this competition. That's why I said seems and pretty close and many other qualifiers there. What happened to Atlanta? What happened? Were they overconfident? They weren't ready? Old preseason excuse? What's the deal?
I want to take this one.
Go.
They were over. If you're to use all the words that you just used, overconfident is the best one. I don't think Atlanta United fans should be concerned right now because they went and played a good team, a very good team, in a really tough condition. And one thing we take for granted is how small the margins are in world soccer. That all these teams, all the different leagues, different tiers, the margins are so small. And teams from perceived smaller leagues or that aren't as good can beat these bigger and more expensive teams on any given day, especially on their home field. And as Matt pointed out, going to Costa Rica is so hard.
It's a rite of passage. And we talked to Charlie Davies. He was here last week. You talk to every generation of U.S., not just U.S., Mexican players as well. Because was it Monterrey lost in Costa Rica, or was it Atlas Tigres who lost?
Tigres lost at Saprissa.
Monterrey tied.
Monterrey
only one Liga MX team won in the first leg, and that was a whooping.
Yeah, Santos put it.
Marathon.
Yeah, but it's just hard. But I do think that there was it was a new tactical approach with the way that Frank de Boer had them playing, even though it wasn't strictly a new formation. It was a new tactical approach. I thought the wingbacks were definitely a lot deeper for De Boer than they played for Tata Martino. I thought that instead of having the one pivot with Remedi just sitting, it was actually 2 with Remedi and Laurentowicz being kind of box to box. So there was a dislocation between Laurentowicz and Remedi and the guys in front of them, Pity Martinez and Ezequiel Barco. And then there was a dislocation between them and Joseph Martinez because anytime Barco or Pity got on the ball, there was no wide support ahead of them.
See, Matt, this is where I think we're just doing the wrong thing. I don't think you should analyze anything from these games.
Honestly, that might be fair.
I understand what you're doing. Everything you said has been accurate, but it also just seems factually disingenuous to pretend like there's something to take away from these matches. It happens every single year. These teams go down. I remember last year, Red Bulls went down and tied 2-2 in their first game, and they looked awful. I didn't pick them for the playoffs because of how bad they looked, but they truly looked like a poor team. They looked like a different team than the other 40-some games they played for the rest of the year. So I would just encourage all Atlanta United fans. Yes, it was bad. Yes, you got outplayed in every single way by a good team, but that one game is not a representation of who they will be.
What is the storyline for the second leg? I mean, obviously it's how many MLS teams get through, but if you could drill down a little bit more, go into specifics, doesn't necessarily have to be like the tactical side that Doyle just mentioned. What are the storylines? What are you sinking your teeth into? What are you thinking about? What fascinates you right now?
If Liga MX teams can get through. I mean, you talk about the MLS teams, but we hear Gignac's not going to play against Saprissa. Tigres still is heavy favorites at home. But if they don't go through, that changes this entire... I mean, we were on here talking about Tigres Monterrey in the final. If Tigres doesn't go through, that changes the entire element of this tournament.
Tigres is going through.
Okay, fine, fair.
Monterrey's going through.
But that's part of the conversation right now because they didn't win in the first leg. In terms of MLS teams, you feel strong about KC, you feel strong about Houston, you feel strong about Red Bull. So it really comes down to Atlanta.
Are you more sure that Tigres and Monterrey are going through than you are Atlanta?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Margin.
Because, margin.
Yeah.
Margin.
Tigres
Atlanta are down
one
2.
goal.
Monterey got a draw. Tigres is only down a goal.
But isn't Saprissa a much better team than Herediano right now?
Yes, fair, but I think Tigres has a bigger home field advantage as well, on top of that.
Than Atlanta United.
They're not playing at their home stadium.
It's not a Mercedes-Benz Stadium. No.
They've never played on that field.
Five Stripe fans are going to pack this thing, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be one of those Bobby Dodd-esque things where you didn't think it was going to be a great solution, and it turns into one. Will Atlanta get through? That's really the big question. Will they get through? Yes or no?
I think they do. I think they get a 2-0, yeah. I think they have that in them.
I think so as well.
Yeah. It's the away goal.
But I wouldn't bet my life on it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd bet Bobby's. I wouldn't bet either of yours, though.
I feel good about it.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to be the voice of, I think, CCL reason here. I think Atlanta United are done. I think it's too much to ask. I think Herediano are not going to give them any openings.
Terrible.
They didn't look good, and
awful.
And Herediano are not going to play it the same way they did that. Like their speed, their directness, it was difficult.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see them take many chances. I don't think you're going to see them give space. I don't think you're going to see Pitti and Barco have the opportunities to work that I think they had at times in the first leg and didn't use. I mean, I'm thinking back to that header from Joseph Martinez. If he scores that header and it's 3-2, I'm with you guys. I'm all in. Atlanta United are going through.
3-2 would have been fine.
Yeah. Right now, I'm just protecting my heart. I want to be honest. I feel like they probably will, but I will protect my heart until the end of time. The second legs of the round of 16s
Can I just say one quick thing? The bigger picture, I think, because we narrowed it down in terms of what the storyline is how many MLS teams are actually competitors to lift this thing at the end? Because I think we all probably agree that the Red Bulls are, based upon how they looked, Sporting Kansas City are. I'm still not there on Houston, even though they were fine. No, I mean, come on, it's Houston. So I think every year, and this is a point that Bobby hammers home, every year we want to see progress. In winning the thing would be progress, of course, but like seeing teams go out there and give it to Tigres and give it to Monterrey, that's what we all want to see.
I just want to point out, too, that it's also possible that MLS has progressed, but so have all of the other leagues in CONCACAF. In the same way that all the other national teams have progressed in the last 15 years, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. It could just be that because Costa Rica had more to progress than Major League Soccer, that they took a larger step forward. That's important to acknowledge.
But that's also cyclical. So there's talent coming out of Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, no question about it. The clubs struggle to keep those groups together.
Yeah, that's true.
So 3 years ago, I think Costa Rica had a really good run. Araba Unido knocked out Monterrey. There was a few good results. Then they haven't had any results. Costa Rican clubs haven't had any results in the last 2 years. Now they come back. It's not a shock, but the issue for them is all of their players, a lot of their top players are going to be playing in Mexico and MLS or in Europe in the next 6 to 7 months. So it's hard for those clubs to stay together. We know the talent exists. The question is when it can coalesce going into a tournament.
I mean, it's a challenge for MLS as well. Ultimately, I think the measure is, yes, can someone win? But B, what we saw last year, can multiple teams make runs? Can we see a league that has more than one power come in and make a little bit of noise? We're going to Sam Stejskal in just 1 second, but I want to get some news out there for you. CJ Sapong traded from the Union to the Fire. $200,000 in 2019 general allocation money, $100K in 2020 TAM, an additional $100,000 in 2019 general allocation money should the Chicago Fire acquire those funds this year. Doyle, what's your take on this one?
It feels like a slight overpay by the Fire in terms of the amount of allocation money going out, but he does sort of fit a need for them. They need a backup for Nemanja Nikolic. He could also back up both wingers while giving them a different look as well. For Philly, it's a no-brainer. I don't think CJ's a starter for them anymore, but he's on starter money, and you get that potential $450,000 in allocation money as well. Yes, you pick up the phone and you say yes when you get an offer like that. So I think it makes sense for Chicago. It makes a ton of sense for Philly.
They moved him. They had to do it. I mean, they have 3 big guys up top. If we're going big, small, we'll see what happens. Looks like maybe Corey Burke is going to get that starting spot. Let's hit the news of the day with Sam Stejskal, the Bird Dog. He is on the line now. Sam, what's up, man? How's it going?
Not too much, guys. How you doing today?
Very, very good. Of course, the inaugural journey here, and we're glad to have you. But now's the time where we ask questions like this. Who won the offseason, Sam? Take me around MLS. Who are the big winners?
Yeah. Well, so the first thing that I have to say when you talk about an off-season winner, stereotypically, the team that improves the most, right, is the off-season winner. And to improve the most, you kind of have to be bad the year before, right? So that eliminates most of the good teams right off the bat. I think the Rapids did a lot this winter to make themselves better. They certainly fall into that category of being bad the year before. It would have been hard to get worse in the attack for them from where they were coming off of in 2018. But I like what they did, adding Kai Kamara and Benny Feilhaber on shorter-term deals. Obviously, they re-upped Kellen Acosta and signed Keegan Rosenberry and Diego Rubio, 2 guys that they acquired this winter, to longer-term contracts last week. Those are all kind of younger players. So I like what they're doing there. Are they going to make the playoffs this year? I heard you guys talking about this on the show not too long ago. I'm not convinced, but, for them, this is all about 2020 and those designated player spots that are going to be opening up with Tim Howard and Stejskal. Tim Howard's obviously retiring. I would be beyond shocked. I think it's more likely that Tim Howard comes back in 2020 for Colorado than Stejskal, even though he is retiring. So those 2 DP spots are going to be open, and the Rapids are going to have some money to go spend. And the way they're viewing things is they have an interesting core, solid core of players that they can build those DPs around, essentially. So I think they could be a team where we look back this time next year and say, oh, that team could be one that didn't make the playoffs the year before that could sneak in. Minnesota, I think, improved as well, right? Ike Opara, Ozzy Alonso, 2 pretty important additions there, as well as Jan Gregus, potentially, although that one, the profile is confusing, at least to me, in terms of what they spent and what his role was with Copenhagen. So we'll see on that one, more of a TBD. And then Ike and Ozzy, obviously, can they stay healthy and have, from Ozzy's perspective, does he still have that step? Has he not lost a step yet? He's getting up there in age. So a little bit of an if factor with those guys, but I think Minnesota have improved as well. And then if we're going to talk about teams, and I'm in minute 18 of this answer already, so I'll try and keep this next part short. But
he's Bird Dog.
Teams that were good last year that did well this offseason. Atlanta, right? They sold Almiron for a ton of money. They brought in P.T. Martinez for a ton of money. They got punched in the face pretty good by Herediano last week. But I think they'll figure things out without too much trouble, and they should be right there again for Supporters Shield and MLS Cup. And I actually expect them to make a decent run, or at least a run past Herediano and CCL and advance to the next round as well. So, Atlanta probably had a good offseason too, although a lot of that will be driven by how well Frank DeBoer ends up doing.
Can I ask this follow-up question to you? And I'm jumping on Atlanta here because I think they follow this
hate
thing.
Atlanta.
No, not at all.
Sam hates Atlanta.
Five Stripes fans, don't come after me right now. I'm just saying that the world market, more than ever before, has become a huge player in MLS, both incoming and outgoing. And we saw incoming for a long time. It was the outgoing that wasn't really a big factor. When you look at the theme of this offseason, what stands out to you? What does it mean now? What will it mean in the future?
Yeah, so it's what you just said. I'm writing a story on this for this week, and it's the theme of this winter, right, is MLS is a player now in the world market in a way that has never been before in its 23, 24-year history. I think I was doing a little back-of-the-envelope math, and it's over $60 million in outgoing sales in terms of Davies and Almiron and Adams and, Javinko and all of those guys, at least with what's been reported. Zach Steffen in that mix, too. So that's a ton of money for MLS. That's not something we've ever seen before. And that's something, especially as Tyler Adams and Miguel Almiron are doing really, really well at the start of their European careers, that should only continue. So that's going to be a major, major paradigm shift for MLS with a ton of implications, right? So the biggest one for me is that it's going to change the way that owners think. And this is something that executives around the league I've spoken to recently have all said to me. And it's just, they see the Almiron sale, right? And they say, I want to get in on that. right? And so it might not be a situation where they're buying a guy for $9 million or more like Atlanta did, and then paying him $2.5 a year like Atlanta did with Almiron. But maybe they're buying for 3 or 4 and paying 1 or 1.5, and then trying to sell for 8 to 10, right? Somewhere in there. They want to be making those profits. These are all business people. They all expect a return on their investment. And the change now is, okay, instead of seeing transfer fees as a cost mostly, there's a little bit of shift into, they're starting to see them as more of an investment, albeit a higher risk one. So that's going to be really interesting to see. And a natural extension of that is that more teams are probably going to start leaning into that selling club model that's been talked about even before MLS Cup and a decent amount this offseason. So, one thing that stood out from these conversations I was having with execs was that they think that teams that maybe don't do super well at the gate with ticketing or with sponsorships, their biggest source of revenue could end up being transfers, which could be really interesting and could be a really interesting model. So there's a lot that remains to be seen with how it affects it, but it's going to be really interesting. And then the other part of this that's kind of interesting to me is that as these stakes get higher and as the money gets bigger, well, there's more emotions and more drama involved with the players, right? And with the transfer negotiations, there's more hijinks, for lack of a better word, that sort of ensue. And in the history of MLS, which has been a somewhat insular league compared to most leagues in the world, GMs and execs and owners haven't had to deal with those situations too often. So now you're going to start seeing more holdouts and more crazy-ass transfer negotiations, and there's going to be a learning curve there. And the teams that do it well will thrive most likely, and the teams that don't might get left behind. So yeah, a ton of different ways that it's going to affect the league. But I think without a doubt, we can say that MLS is more involved in the global transfer market, particularly on the selling side, than it's ever been before.
Now remember, there is still time for MLS teams to make some moves. The transfer window here in Major League Soccer doesn't close for a while now. Now, it cannot be an incoming transfer with as you exchange the ITCs, but maybe a free, maybe a trade. Those things can all still happen. You can follow Sam Stejskal. All the news, including on one Giovanni Dos Santos, at Sam Stejskal on Twitter at MLSsoccer.com. Sam, we'll let you get back to work, man. Thanks for joining us.
One quick thing, Levy. Teams can bring in transfer certificates with ITCs until the primary transfer window closes. So it's not just trades and free agent signings. It's until first week of May or so. So I just wanted to point that out real quick there.
All right, that's Sam Stejskal, the Bird Dog, doing his thing around Major League Soccer at Sam Stejskal on Twitter. You can follow him on MLSsoccer.com, where all his work appears as well. Sam, thanks for joining us, man. Get back to work.
Have a good one, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, big thanks to Sam Stejskal, the Bird Dog, doing his thing at Sam Stejskal on Twitter. We're going to get that Skype set up very, very soon for Sam, so you can see his beautiful face on YouTube.
And his his setup, it's very Homelandish.
Yeah, it's a little bit stripped down. He's still getting moved in out there in Boston.
It looks like a hostage situation.
Yeah, it might. We don't know if he's tied.
Wait, did he bring the dog?
Yeah, Lyle?
Yeah. I don't know if Lyle was in the room for this one, but we will make it contractually.
No, but he brought the dog to his Boston.
Yeah, of course. Come on, you don't leave
you
him
think
behind.
he just left him?
I don't know. People do that, man. People are monsters.
They are, apparently. All right, let's go to predictions right now, and we are going to start with the official ones because those are the easy ones. We got some fun ones coming for you, and we will start with Rookie of the Year. And Bobby, you will kick it off for us. Who's your Rookie of the Year?
I will take from the Colorado Rapids, Andre Shinashiki, striker. And it just seems to me that with the 2-striker setup that they are going to play, he's third on that depth chart. He'll get minutes. I do think the Rapids are going to do well and get goals. He'll bag himself 7 to 8 goals, which at this point is a solid return for a rookie that was drafted.
Just to be clear, that's always been a solid return for a rookie. It was only during the Kyle Larin, Jordan Morris days that suddenly we had rookie attackers getting double digit goals.
Yeah. CJ Sapong, I remember back in the day, won with 5. I think he had 5 and 5, and that was a pretty runaway win for him. It was a pretty obvious win.
Yeah, that was my rookie year.
Didn't know it, but
Bobby, you're only 5 goals away from winning Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
If Shinashiki gets like 8 goals and 4, I mean, that's what Corey Baird did last year, and that was a solid rookie season.
Who you got?
I mean, I have him listed. I maybe have too much Omir Fernandez stock already. I thought, he looked really good.
I made a long list because I knew that they'd get stolen as we went around.
Gotcha. There's an old saying, well, it's a paraphrase of an old saying about you watch a player on the ball. That's how good he is on the day. If you watch a player off the ball, that's how good he is. And I thought that Omar had so many ideas after releasing a pass, both in preseason and in that CCL game. A guy who moves like that away from the ball is going to find chances in a system like the Red Bull. So I like him a lot. I do have a couple other mentions, but I'll save them for you guys.
Save him.
Wait,
Dave, jump in.
We need to acknowledge Doyle just made up a saying.
I think I've heard that before, but I think I've only heard that in his columns.
Soccer one. Yeah, well, now we're all...
Think of a lot of things.
Now we're all target
if you
wingers
think about it, Bobby,
Shutlers.
every word is just made up.
What you got, Dave?
To go back on just real quick, because I'm going to...
Yeah, the Rebels too, baby.
One of their issues is when players go to college, they need to reteach them a lot of the things that they knew when they were in the academy.
And when they play for Bobby Moon.
Exactly. And coming from Wake Forest, that's why so many of these players now are going there, because they know when they come back to Red
Best
Bull.
coach in college soccer.
Exactly. So that's part of the reason.
The guy with 3 straight championships begs to differ.
Since I... Oh, God, Bobby, I hate that you just said that. Since I have to go away from that one, I'm going to go with Callum Montgomery, an actual draft pick. I think he's going to play a decent amount of time for FC Dallas. I think he's the most pro-ready coming out of this draft. So that's what I'm going to say.
I would have gone with someone with DC. I was thinking Akeem Ward until they went out and signed the guy from Boca Juniors.
Wait, I
just thought
on me.
What?
I have a DC one on my list.
Well, Donovan Pines was the other one, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, as we've talked about, Freddie Priant. If
I
he
think
gets moved out.
It's actually telling that they didn't go out and buy an expensive replacement for Briant, who's like a borderline MLS caliber starter. And I think that might be because they think within a month or two, Donovan Pines is going to be ready for that job.
All right, that is Rookie of the Year. Let's go to goalkeeper.
Shout out Justin Rennicks, by the way.
Yeah, Justin Rennick's a good one. Remember, you got to be a draft pick, super draft, or it's your first professional season. So those are the requirements for Rookie of the Year. Goalkeeper of the Year, I believe this one's sponsored by Allstate. Safe hands, baby. If the Sounders have fewer goals conceded among everyone in the league, it'll be Stefan Fry. Because I think sometimes this award...
I forget every time we do this.
I know. I think...
Well,
sometimes this award comes down to like lifetime achievement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, it hasn't for Nick Raimondo.
That's a good
Nick
point.
Raimondo has
That's a
zero
good point.
goalkeeper of the world of the year awards.
And you're never going to get one, Nick Raimondo.
Apology to Nick Raimondo. He got screwed on that one. So if the Sounders have the fewest goals conceded, I think the voting block will just en masse rush behind Stefan Fry and give it to him. But I'm going to go Brad Guzan. Because I think Atlanta wins the Shield. I think they're among the top defensive records, and I think Guzan is an easy one to have that kind of like promotional cycle, and he'll have enough big moments that he'll get in there and somebody will make that vote.
Did you just say that Atlanta fans' Twitter presence is what's going to get Brad Guzan a Goalkeeper of the Year award?
What
That's
Chicago?
basically
Hey, there's
what
a Chicago. Austin Berry won this on bobbleheads. That's not actually true, but
it's Brendan
partially
Hannon's
true. It's
Rookie of the
partially
Year
true. Look,
award.
sometimes like groupthink really does matter in these things, and that's not a positive thing.
Also, when one person doesn't stand out in some of these categories, the player who plays that position on the best team, if you're solid, you're in the conversation.
Or the player who gets sold to Manchester City for $10 million.
Well, he's only going to be there for half the
but
year.
how's he going to win that?
He won last year. Because
there you go.
Yeah, fair.
All right, who you got?
I have Stefan Fry. So
good choice.
They're returning 4 starters.
Anybody not going Stefan Fry? Somebody has to not be.
Tim Melia.
Tim Melia. I mean, it's him and Luis Robles.
Yeah,
They're going to constantly be there.
I had Tim Melia as well.
All right, that's Goalkeeper of the Year. Defender, my dark horse, by the way, Evan Bush, because it's basically like assault when he's in goal, or was last year, and I think Montreal are going to be a lot better. So, Defender of the Year. Anybody going out on a limb, or are we going with obvious picks here?
I think they're all mine's obvious.
What is it?
It's old, but it's Matt Beasley. For the same reason you're picking Melia, I think they're going to be the best team in the West. I don't know who else name-wise is going to win it, so that's who I went with.
Walker Zimmerman. And I think because they're going to be the best team in the West, I think LAFC might actually win the Shield. And I think their defense is going to be a lot better. And I think by virtue of having gotten that big contract and national team camps and caps, and when he play, like Zimmerman is not a quiet defender. He's a guy who makes a lot of plays, and voters like that.
Scores goals.
They've given Defender of the Year to guys like Laurent Simon, who is not a quiet defender. He's running all over the field. You notice him. So I think Zimmerman has a good shot.
I love that Doyle comes in here and he's like, look, the defense is going to be a lot better. They don't have a D-mid. They've got Munir at left back. It's all locked down, baby. All locked down. Who you got, Bobby?
Well, what Matt misses is that Walker Zimmerman plays for a West Coast team, and you never take a West Coast team to have a MVP or Player of the Year candidate.
Because East Coast voters are already asleep. That's a good point.
Speaking the truth.
I have for Defender of the Year, Kamar Lawrence. because I do think that storylines and buzz matter. And there were multiple articles, tweets, and conversations about how there is never an outside back who won Defender of the Year. It feels like we've hit a tipping point where people are aware of that, they acknowledge it, and they want to be part of the shift towards getting an outside back voted Defender of the Year. So I'm going to say Kamara Lawrence.
I almost went with Zusi for that.
I did go to Zusi.
Justin Morrow came really close 2 years ago. He was second in 2017.
I went with Zusi because of all these same reasons. You talk about Beasler, they're going to be at the top. Graham Zusi is going to be on the best back line probably. He'll probably get 3 to 5 goals, 10 assists.
Also, if they play
everybody knows him.
If they play that right back center mid position, like people don't want to vote for defenders. They vote for defenders who score goals.
Yeah.
So if he's basically playing center mid, everyone's going to love voting for him.
What I want to point out, though, is the way they lined up against Toluca and played in preseason helps Beasler win.
Oh, Bobby, wait. I have it on good authority. You can't take anything from those games. Anything you saw means nothing.
I think it's much easier.
No. You shouldn't read anything into it.
No, I talked about away games.
Oh, okay.
Playing at home on real grass in a stadium you're familiar with. But also, they play this way throughout preseason, so it's not just the one game.
So when the data conflicts with the false narrative you're trying to construct, I'm supposed to just toss it all out.
That was such a stupid statement, I'm not even going to acknowledge it. But they played with Fontas as a center back, Graham Zusi as the right center back, and Beasler as a left center back. And they did that to get Beasler and Zusi on the ball with space and time so they could pick up their head and find passes. For Beasler, that means he's going to get more chances to get forward and more chances to get assists. But for Zusi, it's a little bit the opposite. He's going to get good opportunities on the ball, but not quite as great as when he was playing that right winger / center mid / right back role.
Can I just put this out there real quick? Fontas' passing was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like he had never defended for a single second in his life. Like anytime Toluca went at him.
Stop. Don't talk to me about what happened in the CCL game. I don't believe any of it.
We should move on.
D-mid. The defensive midfielder of the year in Major League Soccer would be. We'll go to the D-mid on the panel. Who's it going to be, Bobby? Wax poetic for me.
Do the listeners out there hear what happens to me on a daily basis? Where I make a logical argument and the people around me just take it out of context to then...
Bobby, we'd really love for you to not railroad the show and get to the topic.
Okay. My defensive midfielder of the year. I'm going chalk on most of these picks, and I'll take Diego Chara.
Okay. That's a good one. I have Ozzy Alonso not as my winner, but I wanted to go chalk there. I just feel like if Minnesota is any good, if they're close to the playoffs...
It's a pretty big if.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's the if. Go ahead. Who's yours?
So is Ozzy yours?
It's not. No, it's not.
I don't understand. What are you saying?
I'm going
Are you just
back.
shouting out
I've got
names?
like 4 guys here. You know how this is. This is what I do with this show.
You go next.
This is exactly how it works.
I have Russell Knaus. I thought he was great down the stretch last year, and obviously had a tough game in the playoffs, but a lot of DC guys did. I think he is going to come out with a vengeance in 2019, especially because he has the disappointment of not having played for the U.S. in January camp. I think Russell Knaus is going to play with a chip on his shoulder all year, and I look forward to it.
That's one of my 3. So.
Right. I knew they were going to go with those, so I picked a different one. I went with Eric Remetti.
Interesting.
Yeah. We'll see how I feel about that in about a month.
All right. My two that I have...
There's a chance that Eric Remetti is a type of guy who's awesome in a single pivot and is not in a...
Maybe. Yeah. But he looked the most comfortable on the ball in Costa Rica.
That's fair.
He's going to do things like that, and he can defend. I'm okay with it.
I threw down these 2 names. You guys can tell me what you think. Juan David Cabezas. But it's Houston, so he probably won't get the pub, right? And then I threw down Jonathan Dos Santos. Am I crazy for throwing that one down?
No, because
his talent is there.
Because if the Galaxy are better, he's going to get a lot of credit for that.
Is that the position?
Who else is playing D-mid? It's him and Leggett, right?
You're taking liberties on that.
Yeah.
In a 4-4-2, it's hard to call either one of them a D-mid.
Well, and he's going to be the one more.
Portland play a 4-4-2. And so is it hard to call Chara a D-mid?
No,
the guy that you picked.
You can't say Valeri and Ola Kamara play the position the same way.
But they're both forwards. Valeri's not a midfielder at this point in his career.
Valeri's a forward defensively when he goes up with Bobasi, but in the transition and in possession, he's still an attacking midfielder.
I'm going to say if Russell Knaus. There you go. Comeback player of the year.
Just to copy.
I know. Comeback player of the year. This one's really hard because you never know what they're going to vote on. It's going to be somebody coming back from injury. Is it going to be somebody coming back from, as Ben Bear has said in the past, being trash? What will it be?
Actually, Ben might be my comeback player of the year.
Yeah,
he had a pretty
if that's how he's starting 2019. I like that.
He had a pretty trash 2018.
Thankfully, he's going to come on later and give his Baerantees, so we'll see how he feels or how he's looking going into this year. Look, if it's coming back from not being that great and having high expectations.
Bobby Warshaw.
Kellen Acosta, Justin Miram, Christian Nemeth could be in that
can't name
conversation.
15 players.
Fine. Go. Give me yours.
My 2 are Juan David Cabezas.
Your 2?
Yeah.
No, wait. So that's your 1. That's
your 1.
But you're going to say that.
No. I'll agree. It's a really good call because if we're talking about someone coming back from an injury, he's probably first and foremost. I think it's going to be someone coming back from being trash. And I say guns up for Breck Shea. I think Dane Brecken-Shea playing left wing back for that Atlanta United team.
Oh, man.
I think he's going to have like a weirdly good year.
I'm excited for that.
Let me make a note about Breck. As people look at his height and his physique, and they think that Breck is made for a direct physical team, he's not. Breck is a baller at heart. He wants to be on a team that's going to have the ball on the ground, that's going to try and play. Breck actually can play more than he's given credit for, so I agree. I think Breck is going to show.
And you actually made this point a while back. Like people think Breck's just a space cadet who doesn't care about the game and everything, and you played with him, and you say he's a junkie.
Yeah, he's a soccer dork.
He also was a DP. So it's like the pressure was all on him. He was one of the highest paid players on his team. Now you're just a guy. You can go out and play, and the attention's on everyone else, and the defensive attention's on everyone else, and he's going to have space to operate.
He was a little bit of Alphonso Davies, a little bit older when it happened from back in the day. The guy that they were like, wow, this guy's going to go be a star in Europe. Got his move. It didn't work out for him, and now he's back. I'm going to go with Jordan Morris. I think this is the obvious choice. Out for the entire season, no goals, no assists, waiting, and then he gets his opportunity. Yes, he's on the wing. Yes, it's a little bit different, but I think given his injury, given his profile, given Seattle, I think it'll be Jordan Morris. By the way, Jordan Morris will be on the show on Thursday, so stick around for that interview as well.
Seamless.
Bobby, do you have one?
I do. From MVP candidate to fighting for a spot in the starting lineup, David Accam.
Yes. Should have seen that one coming. What do you think? Over under goals plus assists this year for David Accam, Bobby? What would you set it at?
Ooh, really good question. 12?
That's what I was going to be, right there.
That would be a fine.
He'd be almost Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Fine return.
And I think that would be a bad year for his ability.
Back in 2011 when Bobby was rookie.
The one you mentioned, though, at the start when you were just filibustering this whole segment, Christian Nemeth is actually a really good, because he looked good for Sporting KC.
But there's more coming on Christian Nemeth, I can assure you that.
And also one more we got to throw out there, Georgi Mihailovic.
Yeah.
Because he's just like Cabezas. He missed most of the year, came back late, and was very good for that Chicago team. Go ahead.
I was going to throw out a super deep cut to go on top of that one.
One more.
Kyle Duncan.
I like that.
Too deep cut. Come on, man.
If they sell Michael Marino for a decent amount of money,
Which
he's
they
a
will
starter
this summer.
on the best back line at 21 years old. Get out of my face, Weeby. You are going to be every week. My God, Kyle Duncan's out here.
I don't sound like that. Assist king.
You're right. The mic's got better.
Assist king. Who is going to lead the league in assists this year? It's Bork Dochkal with 18 last year.
So one factor to think about with this is that the assist king, if you go back through the record books, is generally someone who doesn't contribute a ton of goals. Really the only person who has done both assist king type level of assists and a ton of goals was Jovinko. We don't have a Jovinko in the league right now. Maybe Carlos Vela. That's all to say that my number one pick for assist king is Nico Ladero.
That's an easy one, I think.
Yeah.
I think that he's got to be in that conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm next.
Yeah. You don't seem confident about it.
No, so I have lists where I'm okay with all of them, and I'm waiting for you guys to take them.
To chisel them away?
Yeah, so you go next.
Okay, I'll go. Darwin Quintero. Darwin Quintero. 50
Anytime you get a chance to feed Angelo,
yeah, I was going to say.
You know that guy's going to rack
I think he might be hurt, right?
Yeah.
But look, last year, 15 assists, and they had Angelo, and they had Christian Ramirez, who scored some, but wasn't on the best terms, it seemed, with everybody else. Now you have Ethan Finley back. You have Molino back. Miguel Ibarra, I think, is going to be a better goal scorer this year than he has been in the past. You've got a full season. You're not on turf. I think he's going to be the assist king, which I think would then, given his goal scoring, probably put him in the MVP conversation as well. I could be wrong, though, because Darwin Quintero feels like a guy who could just
Maybe he's throwing a hole.
Yeah.
He could just fall off the edge of a cliff, too. So I'm going out of
Someone else make a sarcastic comment about this? I'm like burnt out after that.
You don't like that? You don't like Darwin Quintero? Who you got?
Lee Win. I think that LAFC is going to score 70, 75 goals. They're going to score a ton of goals, and it looks like they've gone to kind of more of a 4-2-3-1 than the 4-3-3, and Lee Win's the number 10. He's playing behind Christian Ramirez, Carlos Vela, and Diego Rossi. They might score 50 goals between the three of those guys.
It's a good shout, Matt. My only worry is that he doesn't take set pieces for that team.
That's fair.
If Vela is going to be over most of the set pieces, you tend to have to have taken corner kicks and free kicks to get this award.
So I have Vela, Piatti, and PT, and probably all three of those will be above everyone you guys have.
Nice.
So I'll just take that and with the slam dunk.
So you
take the field? It's like you just took the field.
You guys all went deep cut for no
that's
reason.
That's the way we should have done this. The three people pick one, and the fourth one can either take one of those three or the field.
Well,
Bobby just trying to find ways to set up different
perfectly.
schemes.
Let's re-record all of this, actually. The Golden Boot presented by
What's the
Audi.
parlay, though?
Golden Boot presented by Audi. Who do you guys got? Joseph Martinez, 31 goals last year. He would be the easy way out. Dave, if you'd like to take that one.
Yeah, I'm going to take it.
Okay.
I think the only question is whether or not Zlatan breaks the record Joseph set last year. He told us all he is going to break the record. I tend to believe Zlatan.
I have Zlatan too. I think, look, there's change in Atlanta. I don't think Joseph's going to be quote-unquote hurt by it, but he's not going to score 31 goals again. And Zlatan is going to just go insane.
Yep.
This is going to be the year of Zlatan, where every single week is like, did you see what this guy did? Did you see what he said afterward? Did you see who he buried? That's going to be 2019 in a nutshell for me.
I have something to add to that, but I'm going to save it for later.
Yeah, I also do. I like Bobby.
Okay.
My worry with Joseph, and I have him as my person here, but I will acknowledge my worry. Who's going to take penalties? Him or PT?
It's got to be him, right?
It was him last year when he was chasing the record.
He's the alpha dog.
Is he the alpha dog over?
I mean, it's his
I guess we'll find
club.
out.
Anyway, that has me a little bit concerned, whereas Zlatan will take the penalties, Wayne Rooney will take the penalties and the free kicks, and
You
that's
think
an
Rooney's
extra.
going to play enough games?
That's the concern. But if you take the penalties, especially in Atlanta, that's an extra 6 to 9 goals, right? Which you may or may not have.
Hashtag instant replay.
Can I just, we got to put BWP in this conversation.
Yeah, no. I was wondering
Has to
when
be
he was going to
said.
pop up. We got a conversation about BWP coming up in just a second. Let's finish with the traditional awards and get to the fun stuff. Landon Donovan, MVP. Since I went Zlatan for Golden Boot and I said he's going to steal the season, there's no way I can go anywhere else. I'm dumb.
MVZ award.
I'm dumb and naive, and I went on our Instagram stories for Major League Soccer, and I said it was going to be Joseph, and as soon as I did it, I regretted it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Zlatan.
Because you got trashed by the 13-year-olds that are on.
It hasn't come out yet,
MLS
but I
official
will be
Instagram
trashed by
comments.
all 13-year-olds. Look, Zlatan almost got it last year, and they were terrible. If they're any good, and he leads them to that point, and he will be the leader of the team from a personality, publicity, and on-field standpoint, it'll be him. Because it's partially a popularity contest. And if you, like, he scored 31 goals last year, Joseph did, and Zlatan almost won it. Like, it's him.
I'm going to go with PT. I think he's going to be the best player in Major League Soccer. And he's going to be playing for one of the 2 or 3 best teams. So it's going to come down to being pretty simple. The Zlatan stuff, I guess we're going to talk about it. You guys are putting a lot on me right now.
Yeah. If you feel it, go for it.
He was so good last year. They did not play soccer, which almost felt like it went into making him better. If they actually play soccer and are any good this year, I don't know that everything that Zlatan does will be as eye-popping. If it is as eye-popping, then they might be awful this year. That's what I think. What?
Bobby's doing his 5 seconds of silence.
Okay. all good shouts. I'm going to go a little bit my one that's off the beaten path. With MVP, as with all trophies, storylines matter. I think that by the end of the season, voters will be Zlatan'd out. I think that they will be Atlanta United out. And I will add this caveat that I think that they are Toronto, Josie, and Michael Bradley'd out, except that Josie has his vengeance right now. And if Toronto turns out to be good and Josie puts up 20-plus goals and is the leader of that team, I think that is a really enticing storyline. So my pick, which is outside the box, is Josie Altidore.
Which might be a good comeback player of the year vote as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just keep it on the MVP award, and we'll go to our own awards here. This is the David Accam Dark Horse MVP candidate for the guy that maybe you shouldn't say it out loud, but secretly somewhere inside of you, there's just a little bit of inkling that maybe they can do it. Now, it cannot be an obvious one. It can't be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It could definitely happen. It has to be like, in a crazy world where David Accam can win MVP, you would say that. You would say that publicly on a radio show that goes out to thousands of people. Bobby, you do the honors. Go for it. Anytime.
Is Darwin Quintero outside Dark Horse enough?
I think
I already made the case for it, but I'll allow it. You make your case.
You made the case for Assist King. I just think to win it from Minnesota United after where Minnesota United's been the last 2 years makes you a dark horse.
Okay.
This is where I'm jumping back in with the Christian Nemeth as like the very look. It's dark horse. It's the David Accam dark horse MVP. What if Kansas City lead the league in scoring, win the Shield, and Nemeth scores, I don't know, 18 and has like 9 assists?
I think if
that's not going to win MVP.
I was going to say if they do that and those are his numbers, I'm assuming Russell and Shallowy and Gutierrez are all double-digit goal scorers at that point.
Sure. Again, David Accam, Dark Horse MVP, is not a guy who will actually win it.
David Accam had one goal in 13 starts last year.
There is a dark horse MVP on that team, though. I think Felipe Gutierrez would be the dark horse MVP on that team. If you go through 2018 and or 2019 and SKC win the Supporter Shield, score a crazy amount of goals, there's a chance like Felipe Gutierrez is the driving force behind all of that, and he would put up like a 15-15 season, right?
Who's your guy? You're out here in,
I don't know.
in my fantasy, just digging around.
Yeah. I don't know if Marco Fabian counts as a dark horse. But like I could see.
Wait, Marco Fabian definitely counts as a dark horse.
Does he?
He hasn't played pro soccer in 2 years.
Okay, so there you go. Like, let's say he's healthy. Let's say like he rediscovers his fitness and he fits perfectly in the press that Philly's going to run, the hunter-killer press that Philly's going to run, and he puts up a monster season. We've all seen him play. We all remember what he was like for Chivas. He could do that.
Absolutely could. He was doing it with El
But he's
Tri.
not going to win it.
No,
Zlatan is going over 40 combined goals and assists.
Woo! Hope that's your Baerantee. You got one?
Yeah, Mauro Manotas. He had 19 goals last year. If he gets better and they're a top 3 or 4 team in the West, I mean, obviously he's not going to win it because if they're a top 3 or 4 team in the West, whoever's ahead of them will. But if he's over 27 goals at this age, he's going to be the best player on his team. Also, MVP is voted on before the end of the season, but then comes out in postseason. So if they make a postseason run, there's going to be buzz around him, but he wouldn't have already won, which is my whole gambit right here.
Okay, let's keep it going with our awards here. Let's go out on a limb. Give me a first-time 10-goal scorer in Major League Soccer.
5 of them.
Somebody you feel real good about.
Can I have one? No, I need one of Doyle.
Yeah, we can't let him go first because then we won't have anything to say.
Bobby?
I'll take mine first. Matt, this is for you. I think Pedro Santos puts up 10 goals this year.
Wow. Oh, my
Boom.
God.
Damn. What do you got?
10 assists wouldn't shock me from Pedro Santos because he always looks the part, right? But 10 goals?
I like this because this is like a reverse troll move on you. He took your trolling and he reversed it on you.
I'd never
hit
troll.
You with a mirror.
I never troll.
What are you taking, Dave?
I've got 2. Can I say 2?
Okay, fine.
If one of them's not yours?
You looked at my paper?
I didn't.
Okay.
Santiago Mosquero and Chris Mueller.
Okay, neither of those are mine.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
Oh.
I like those.
I think Mosquera's another guy who could go over 10 assists. I think 10 goals would
He had
surprise
6
me.
last year.
Yeah.
You have 5, so how about I give my 2 and then you let us know if we've eliminated your entire list at that
I like
point.
that idea.
Okay. I have 2.
Okay.
Miguel Ibarra.
That's why you had to let me say 2.
Yeah, exactly. Miguel Ibarra and Paul Areola. Both guys like right on the brink last year in the
I think
7-goal
both were
range.
like 8 and 10.
Yeah, I have more faith in Ibarra than I do in Areola.
Oh.
But I think those guys are good candidates to hit 10.
I actually have 4 on my list. Diego Rubio, I think, gets there because he's going to play 2,500 minutes. And I just think he's got like a knack for finding those goals in the back. Go ahead, Bobby.
And a Chilean international at one point. Rubio has been mocked.
Last year.
Yeah.
He got called up for Chile and played for him last year.
Diego Rubio has been mocked around MLS circles at times, but this dude has ability.
No doubt.
Corey Baird, I thought he was strong last year, 8 and 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I thought he was decent with the U.S. national team, and it looks like he is going to be the starting forward for that team. Now, that team may underachieve this year, but I just think it's going to happen. Jeremy Abobasi, recipient of some good luck with all those moves that Portland had lined up falling through. Looks like he is the starting forward for that team. He has solidified that with his preseason. He was a monster. He had, I think, 5 goals in his last 4 games for the Timbers. He looks the part of a lead-the-line striker. And he's finding tap-ins, which he didn't find, like really just like Hunter.
Easy goals.
Yeah.
Easy goals.
And then, but the one who I'm really all in on, you know it, Dom Badji. I got a ton of Dom Badji stock. I just think he's healthy. I think with the way that they're going to play for Luchi Gonzalez, it's going to be high pressing. They have the most mobile front 6 in the league. Again, he's going to find 30 chances to tap the ball in from 2 feet, and he's going to score 15 of them.
All right, here we go. Let's go. And he might be a candidate for this one. This is the Aaron Long good to all league player.
The premise of this I deny. Aaron Long has always been all league.
Okay. I'm going to go Nick Lima. I think he's got.
By the way, Don Badji had 9 goals last year. I thought we were going out on limbs. You said also, 2 guys with 8 and one was a DP.
Well, Diego Rubio had 8 and he had 10 in all comps. So I was trying to get.
I want to make sure my numbers are right. I had to look that up before I said it. You said that question out with go out on a limb, and then you stayed so safe.
I want you to know I'm glad it's us on the same side of the table here.
Me too. This is strong side, left side. Or viewers stage right.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're on YouTube in case you hadn't figured that one out. The Aaron Long Award, from good to all league. You deny the premise of this, but you still have to answer it. So who will it be?
I'm going to go with Keegan Rosenberry. I think
everybody's going right backs. I'm going Nick Lima. You're going Keegan Rosenberry?
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Who's going Brooks Lennon? Oh. Somebody out there?
Keegan Rosenberry was already the 6th or 7th best right back in the league last year.
But that's not all league.
That's not all league.
So you think he's
good?
He also wasn't a starter full-time last year.
He was last year. He wasn't in 2017.
Whatever. Okay.
I have Nick Lima just because I think he's going to be one of the lone bright spots for San Jose. He'll get a lot of pub, I think, with the national team. He is very good. It's just he hasn't gotten a lot of attention for it because, 21 points in a single season is generally going to get you pushed down the line there. So
I worry that the new system under Mateus Almeida if Almeida's the head coach come opening day, doesn't suit Lima. It sounds like they're just playing like a bunch of tackling beasts. As we saw under Berhalter, Lima's a passer. He's a methodical player. So I worry he's going to get lost in that new system.
Lima's super physical.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete.
Super physical dude.
It's a good caveat, though. Who's your guy, Bobby?
I've got so my safe pick is Mark Anthony Kaye, but I think that's a little bit too obvious. My real pick, Francisco Calvo. When you watch him with Costa Rica, he is much, much better than he's shown with Minnesota. The talent is undoubtedly there. He has never been held accountable. He has never been held to proper standards. I think Ike and Ozzy and Quintero are going to change that for him and say, dude, you step up and show what you're made of, or we're going to leave you behind.
Looks like he's a left back, by the way, which he really pushed against the first year and a half he was in Minnesota.
Which is kind of the key for him.
Yeah. He can't play inside.
I do like that one.
So the reason Gasman doesn't like this is because this segment, this award, is because there aren't a lot of guys who get the chance to grow into roles anymore because there's so much roster churn because MLS GMs have all this shiny new money and they want to go out and spend it. So people are always upgrading. It feels crappy to do this, but I'm picking the TAM guy. It's Victor Rodriguez. He's been pretty good over a year and a half, I guess, now with Seattle. But I think he had some personal family stuff that is settled now. He's healthy. He fits perfectly as a left winger. I think Schmetzer's going to stop playing him on the right wing finally. I think this guy could have a really, really, really good year.
Plus you've got Rui Diaz. Plus you've got Jordan Morris stretching the line. And to go back to Nico Odero, arguably the best chance creator in this entire league playing behind you.
Right.
Just a little consistency goes a long way. We'll finish with this one, guys. The next Alphonso Davies. There may not be a next Alphonso Davies, but somebody in that same mold. 22 breakout player, big money sale. However you want to interpret this, you kind of have a little bit of freedom here. Where are you going? What do you think, Bobby?
I'll start us off. Marcos Lopez, new Peruvian under-20 international, signed to the Earthquakes. Really highly regarded in South America. A ton of upside. I think he does actually fit Almeida's system, so I think Marcos Lopez.
How many can I say?
Just one, but you could throw a couple. You could throw a couple ads in there.
Oh, I'll do
wait till we say ours though.
Okay, you guys go there.
No, you say you're one, and then if we don't say it, then
I won.
Yeah, you're single one.
This is really.
I'm gonna go Gianluca Busio because you're over here. You're like.
That's what I was.
Wait, is this domestic only, or is this any?
It can be anybody. It can be anybody. I'm going Gianluca Busio because I think he has the passport. He can move, can he?
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I think he showed last year in just little hints that he could be potentially a special player. One of the ones that garners a team out there to say, you know what, we can justify spending $12, $15 million. I know that's a lot of money. I'm not saying he's there right now, but I'm saying give him another year, give him an opportunity. In this team that I think is going to be very good where they won't have to rely on him. It's like, hey, look, you got 4 of the best players in the league all around you. Just make the easy pass. I think he's the guy who could be the next sort of big money sale. But again, I'm not.
Where do you want to see him go? Because you're a longtime Arsenal fan.
Huge, longtime, somewhat supporter of Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would say England. It just kind of feels like the Bundesliga is the place to go for people right now.
Never go to England.
So if you had to guess, I would guess Bundesliga.
I didn't.
Bobby's stretching over
Matt,
here.
Did you know that we were doing the 2021 Alphonso Davies pick? I didn't know that.
Bobby even
He's just trying to. He's channeling a little bit of you.
He's saying Alphonso Davies was 15
Busio's
when he debuted.
Busio's not going to play this year. He's going to play a little bit, but he's not going to play enough to get sold for.
Fine. I didn't say it was going to happen this year. I'm just saying he emerges.
It's
He emerges.
literally the 2019 prediction show, Andrew.
That's fair. Actually, you know what? I'm on Bobby's side.
No,
give me your pick.
False, because that's not how he worded the question. He said who would be the big sale. He didn't just say who would win.
And then I said,
You're doing active listening.
And then I said, however you want to define it, go ahead and do that. I gave you freedom, Bobby, and you're chafing back at me. What do you got? Who's your guy?
Diego Rossi.
Oh yeah,
it seems like the obvious one, especially like his underlying numbers are pretty spectacular. I don't think that his decision making in the final third is quite good enough yet, but by mid-season, it wouldn't shock me if LAFC were fielding offers from the biggest teams in La Liga. Well, not in La Liga, but the biggest teams in Serie A, other than Juventus, and like the Valencias, Atletico Madrids, those teams from La Liga.
Yep. All right, we'll finish with this.
Wait, I didn't get to give my 18.
Oh, my bad. You had some.
I'm going to say 2 make a jump this year, Cole Bassett, Handwala Bwana. I'm going to say for the big sale guys, Jesus Ferreira, Christian Caceres, and Derek Jones is just going to be the best thing to watch this year.
I hope Derek Jones gets that opportunity.
What about Georgie? Our guy has rumored interest from Hertha Berlin already.
Yeah. It's tough for me to say with him. I think he's going to be good this year. I think we're going to see his ceiling pretty quickly in his career, which is fine. I think he's going to be a good professional soccer player. I don't think he's like a
needs to work on the half turn.
I've been telling him for 5 years he needs to work on the half turn.
We'll definitely put this clip out for him to like and/or retweet. One answer. You don't get to go long on this at all. You just get to say the name. This is the Matt Doyle Stan Player of the Year. Basically, the guy that you just love for whatever reason, and
the Jose Villarreal Memorial,
the Chris Clutie Award for the player that you just irrationally love.
Tight Chris Clutie reference.
I'm gonna go, and this is kind of a little too obvious, but I'm going Ezekiel Barco because he's been crapped on a ton. He's got a lot of talent, so I'm just gonna be watching him really closely this year. That's mine.
What's your backup support for picking the guy that was the most expensive player in league history at the time?
Second most.
Do you have any more to add to that?
I have no more to add because we're running out of time, so you will have no more to add to yours as well. What is yours, Bobby?
Jack Price.
Nice. Yeah. Perfect. On brand. What about you?
Hot boy, Kevin Molino.
Oh, it's been a long time since we got a hot boy reference on this show.
Oh, I still have my Jose Villarreal stock. Somebody's going to sign him.
All right, let's go to break.
Is he on a team?
No, but give me a team. I will sign Jose Villarreal. He will be an 8-goal, 12-assist guy.
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you, man.
Taylor Twellman on the other side of the break, along with Jon Weinbach, the executive producer of We Are LAFC. We'll be right back.
Are you watching the games or just looking at the stats? Email the show at extratime@mlssoccer.com, tweet at extratime, or text the Hot Take hotline with any questions or reactions.
Can we beat the Colombias and the Belgiums and the Argentinas of the world? You kidding me? We can't beat Trinidad on a field that's too wet and too heavy? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Back now in Extra Time, driven by Continental here in the studio in New York City. What are we doing, Dave? What are we doing?
We're waiting for the legend himself.
Exactly. We have to wait no more. Taylor Twellman of ESPN is on the line now in his home office.
With videos, huh? We've got video podcast now, video show. Well done, boys.
Thank you. We're just copying MLS Rewind. Is it back? Is it coming back for 2019?
Keep your fingers crossed, but it is not a good sign right now. There's 2 ways to look at it. First and foremost, we created a show absolutely out of nothing with no resources out of the basement of ESPN. We had 5 people on the crew, and some of those crew members have moved on to bigger and better things. That's a positive because obviously that experience with MLS Rewind. But on the other hand, right now it looks like we have no resources, and fingers crossed, but it doesn't look good.
Oh, bummer. We're going to have to pick up the baton for you, okay? So you know that anytime you want your home office here on screen, we will bring it to the folks at home. Still, ESPN, so much to look forward to this year, Taylor. John Champion is going to be in the booth with you. What can we expect from these broadcasts? If people want to know, 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, DC Atlanta, that's the game Taylor is going to be on.
Yeah, obviously John Champion's been with us since the 2014 World Cup in a variety of roles, and he's going to be taking over for Adrian Healy, who put in a heck of a run over 8 years. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 11 years as the lead broadcaster, lead play-by-play guy for ESPN. And Adrian's still with us, and he'll be doing Sporting Kansas City against LAFC following DC Atlanta. John's one of the best. And I think it's a huge statement to Major League Soccer that a guy like John Champion in the prime of his career wants to come to the United States of America to be the lead broadcaster, lead play-by-play guy for Major League Soccer games on ESPN. I think that's a massive statement in the 24th season of Major League Soccer.
What about any tweaks on the broadcast? Is there anything special we're going to see? Anything we should look forward to? Any ranting and raving at halftime? I mean, I assume that's coming from you.
Yeah, naturally. I think nothing really changes. I think obviously, there's going to be a different kind of chemistry with John and I, and obviously when Sebastian Salazar, who, as you guys saw in 2018, you saw his worth with the ability to interview Joseph Martinez in Spanish and immediately translate that to our broadcast. That's a special quality. So we have that access, but at ESPN, we've always had the rule, just let the game do the talking, not try to get in the way. And then halftime, that changes. It depends on what's going on in the moment, but naturally I'll find a way to yell about something.
Maybe it'd be CCL. We'll see. Atlanta United didn't have the best result. When you look at this right now, Taylor, the field of five, a bad result for Toronto, some decent results outside Atlanta United slapped in the face. Who's got the best chance to win this thing? Who would you bet on to win?
Sporting Kansas City, because of the way the bracket has set up and because of that result against Toronto. With all due respect, losing 4-0 is absolutely ridiculous and completely uncalled for. And I think Greg Vanney and that team, they may have a statement to be said, obviously, but that's a huge mountain to climb, cold weather. They may be able to do it. So I'm not writing off Toronto completely, but that club... Then if Sporting Kansas City advances, I'd be shocked if Sporting Kansas City is not in the semifinal, if not the final. Now that semifinal to final game will determine a lot. It will depend on, what Atlanta United does. But if you ask me one MLS team to bet on right now, I'm betting on Sporting Kansas City.
Taylor, for years, CCL winning it has been the white whale for MLS. But the popularity of this league, the respect for this league has grown so much over the last few years. You hear Liga MX owners talking about how much they respect MLS, how much they want. Is a team winning it this year still the benchmark for where this league is at, or does it not matter as much?
No, I completely disagree. I disagree with it not being a benchmark. If Major League Soccer wants to be in the conversation as top 10 leagues in the world, and we've heard multiple people from all parts of Major League Soccer say that, and more importantly, want to have that conversation of when the World Cup in 2026 comes around, how can you say you want to be in that conversation and not even be the best league in the world? You have to dominate. You have to consistently win. I'm not saying you have to win it every single season, but if you're not, you don't have a representation, at least in the final, if not the semifinals every single year, then I'm sorry, you can't be in that conversation for a top 10, top 12 league in the world because you're not even the top league within your confederation, so to speak. Now, the reason why Liga MX and these other federations are coming out and saying they respect Major League Soccer is because they're at the doorstep. But it's one thing to be at the doorstep. It's another thing to walk right through that door and then to own that room. Right now, Major League Soccer, for whatever reasons, we can say scheduling, we can have all these excuses. The reality is this, is that the CONCACAF Champions League is a must for Major League Soccer, and that, for lack of a better phrase, street credit, because the moment they then start consistently winning this competition, then you're putting a dent in the Liga MX, then you're having a conversation of being the best league in your region.
Just one leg down, a long way to go in this competition. Let's talk 2019, Taylor. I'm going to go big picture with you right here. Make a prediction for me. The theme of 2019 for MLS will be or should be?
Better to be lucky than good.
Explain.
And here's what I mean. Here's what I mean by that. There's a different wrinkle into 2019 regular season because the schedule's been condensed a little bit shorter now, right? We're starting a little earlier, but MLS Cup, guys, is before the international break, if I'm not mistaken, correct? In November.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I have my dates correct. So now all of a sudden that's been condensed a little bit. What I mean by better to be lucky than good, obviously depth of teams are going to be tested with the amount of travel of games in that condensed amount of time. when I'm speaking to coaches and general managers throughout Major League Soccer of 2019, that's all I'm hearing. That's all I hear is the same topic of conversation. We need to have fit players. We need to have our star players be healthy for the entire season. So for me, because of that little wrinkle, I think the teams that survive that the most, I think they're going to be said better to be lucky than good.
For whatever reason, Taylor, what club are you most interested in going into 2019?
Oh man, that's a good one. For some weird reason, and honestly, I don't know why I'm going to say this. The Colorado Rapids.
Oh, I think you're preaching to the choir there. We're pretty interested as well.
Yeah, and you guys know this better than anyone, right? When you think of Major League Soccer, how often do you see these remarkable turnarounds because teams spent their money, they spent it wisely, but they also went out and got MLS veterans, MLS experienced players that understand what it takes. That's exactly what Colorado's done. Now, I may be a season too soon because they got 2 designated players coming off the books in 2019. So 2020 may be the year that we see this. But I'd be shocked if Colorado Rapids don't make some noise in the Western Conference because they've went out and got some good veteran players in Major League Soccer. They don't have any other competitions they have to deal with. And because of Tim Howard and that little bit of, I'd say, motivation to go out with a bang, I wouldn't be shocked if Tim Howard plays at a better level than he did in 2018.
All right, Taylor, everybody's doing the supporters shield. Let's flip it. Let's do the wooden spoon. I know this is a little bit disrespectful. I know it's not the easiest, but last year it was San Jose in a landslide. Who will it be this year? Who's getting that spoon?
I think that wooden spoon may be staying in Northern California.
Oh. Even with Almeida?
Yeah, I do. I think, listen, like I just said about Colorado, I think Almeida's system will work in 2020 or in the second half of 19. I'm not totally convinced with the roster that they have and the system that Almeida wants to play, which is high press, one-on-one, man-to-man, get after it. When this league, with travel is a huge part of that, I'm not totally sure it's going to work, and especially in the first 6 to 7 months. What I've seen from San Jose in the preseason, and now listen, you can look at score lines and say recently they just tied Seattle 2-2. Both were penalties, and one was questionable. Seattle outplayed them. And so I'm just not totally convinced that San Jose is going to be able to turn the corner. And if I had to pick a team that's going to give them a run for their money in the Eastern Conference, I don't know if there is, because I think Orlando City is going to be better than they were last year. And you're talking about the wooden spoon at being at the bottom of the barrel. Colorado's going to be better. I just think if a safe bet, for lack of a better phrase, I think it's the San Jose Earthquakes.
Taylor, who or what club are you going to be living on SportsCenter with? Who's going to be, whether it's headlines, just being the best team, winning, highlights, whatever it is, what's that storyline? What's the MLS storyline king?
I think naturally it's Atlanta United, and I think we're all silly to say it's anyone else with the way Arthur Blank and that city. I mean, look at what they did for CONCACAF Champions League. First leg, and where was it? Costa Rica, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And the 92.9 the game is flying down to do the radio show. Arthur Blank, the owner, is showing up on the sideline. They're just doing everything differently. And yet when you do ask me about SportsCenter, they resonate. When you go to SportsCenter, no one knows about soccer or Major League Soccer. They know about Atlanta United. So I do think Atlanta United is going to lead the SportsCenter conversation, but I'm not totally sure it's going to be all positive. I think Atlanta may struggle, and I'm not prisoner of the moment because of the way they played in Costa Rica. They've got some interesting tactical decisions. I am not a fan of playing Michael Parkhurst as a right center back in a 3-back system. I played with the guy. I've known him for 18 years. He's never been that guy. If that's the way Frank de Boer wants to play and that's the way they're going to look at it, I'm just not totally sure that's going to work. But Atlanta United is going to lead the headlines on SportsCenter. Absolutely.
Thought you would for sure say Zlatan there. Not going to lie. Thought Zlatan was going to be right on the edge of your lips there. But come summer, we're going to be talking about another Zlatan-esque player, Taylor. And we're going to be talking to you about him before as the rumors start coming out. So I want you to take a guess here. Maybe a prediction. Maybe just go inside your brain and say, this is the guy I would choose. Come summer, who's that big name that's coming to Major League Soccer?
I wonder if this is the summer we see Chicharito in Major League Soccer.
Ooh.
I wonder. I wonder about the timing in his career. I wonder about Tata Martino being his manager and having a good understanding of what Major League Soccer is. And where does Chicharito end up? Does that play a factor in maybe Tata saying this is the time? I just keep an eye on Chicharito. This may be the year. It's a non-World Cup year. There's a long time now to the next World Cup. If he's going to make the move now. I'd be shocked. But again, he would be the name I would watch 100%.
Where? What club set up to bring him in that has the space that could afford him?
Here's the wrinkle into all of this. You got to also remember 2019 is the CBA discussion and the CBA negotiation, right? So this is also the timing where as owners and the Players Association get into those nitty-gritty and get into that negotiation, if that comes to a head before the summer, there may be a club that understands what 2020 is going to look like, and then all of a sudden they can hedge their bets and who knows what happens there. But as of right now, I couldn't tell you what team that would be. But I do think Chicharito's on the tip of the tongues of about 3 or 4 teams right now. But the CBA discussion is the biggest discussion for me, because that's going to determine over the next 4 or 5 years where this league goes.
All right, rapid fire for you. I just want to name next Alphonso Davies or Tyler Adams. Who's the young guy who jumps out this year?
Oh, man, I honestly think it's going to be the kid from FC Dallas. I think Paxton's the kid. I think he's going to get a full-on opportunity to play, and he's going to play as a number 10, and I think he's the kid.
All right, how about this? Your specialty, the top domestic goal scorer in MLS, American or Canadian?
It will be an American, and I think it's going to be Dom Dwyer. But this is the domestic goal scorers in Major League Soccer. It's kind of an unknown quantity now.
No Taylor Twellmans in this league, huh?
Josie Altidore.
Hey, look, Josie's hurt right now, all right? Give him some time to heal. And before I let you go, Giovanni Dos Santos, 4 DPs, 3 DPs, contract buyouts, meetings between the ownership committees to figure out what's going on. What's your feeling on how this thing ends up?
What's the feeling, or what should what should happen? Because listen, you can't competitively, guys. You can't start a season with every other franchise under the assumption that you can only have 3 designated players, and all of a sudden you change that rule before the season starts. You can't. Now, if they wanted to change that rule and change it at the competition committee or those meetings, and they come out at MLS Cup and say, listen, we're going to allow 4 DPs or 3 DPs plus an extra, fine, whatever. But competitively speaking, if Atlanta United knew you could have 4 DPs in December and January, do you think they would have maybe kept Miguel Almiron or maybe went out and got someone else? They can't keep Giovanni Dos Santos. They can't. So he needs to be traded within Major League Soccer, or he needs to be bought out. But he cannot play for the LA Galaxy because it doesn't look right to the other franchises in Major League Soccer.
That's Taylor Twellman. At ESPN, of course, at Taylor Twellman on Twitter. You can watch him on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, DC Atlanta United. The 2019 season kicks off. We'll be following you every single week, Taylor. Thanks for joining us, man. Beautiful home office. I aspire to that one day.
Congrats on the new show. I love it. Now you can actually see my face when I speak. I love this.
Positives and negatives, Taylor. Have a good day, man.
See you, boys.
Big thanks to Taylor Twellman. You can catch all of his work on ESPN, and of course, Twitter is where the hot takes are this season. Speaking of ESPN, Dave, ESPN Plus, We Are LAFC, a 10-part documentary series following the New Boys from 2018 and Bob Bradley. We're very lucky right now to have Jon Weinbach, the executive producer, on the line. Jon, what's up, man?
How you guys doing?
We're doing really well. We're very happy, by the way, that there's a 30 for 30 credentialed producer out here making MLS content, taking us behind the scenes. So thank you. I just want to say that.
My pleasure.
So tell us the beginning. How did this come about? How did you get this access?
Well, it's a great story. It's a long story. It really starts in 2014 when they announced the club. And so our company, Mandalay Sports Media, Peter Guber, who you may know, is part owner of the Dodgers, of the Warriors, of an esports team, Hollywood Royalty. he is our executive chairman and sort of our spiritual advisor in the company. And we'd gotten a little bit of word that this team may come into existence, but when it was finally did, it was really exciting. For me personally, I'm an LA native. I grew up here, played soccer my whole life. Went to indoor soccer games, with the LA Lasers in the MISL days. And very quickly after the announcement, we approached Tom Penn, the owner and president of the club, about a project. What that was, we didn't know, but sort of the building of a club and doing all that. And so then fast forward, we kept in touch over the years. And, fast forward to sort of the late fall, winter of 2017, and we actually went out with this pitch. And we shot a sizzle reel with, we were there actually, during the expansion draft, and went out with the pitch. And it was initially rejected by all the players and by all the networks. And it was, a little bit frustrating because we thought, this was a great project. And then sort of to Tom's credit, in August of last year, in 2018, sort of 2/3 of the way through the season, there was a meeting with the new heads of ESPN, Jimmy Pitaro, and sort of a discussion about ESPN Plus and MLS content. And to Tom's credit, he said, look, we've got a great project, about LAFC, and was able to sort of convince the ESPN folks, and we've had a long track record with ESPN. And then we literally went boom. I mean, we literally went from late August on all access. So it was a real sprint to try to get this project completed and to give it the quality that it deserves, and also just to assemble all the footage that had been shot by various parties beforehand.
So this year, the Manchester City doc series comes out, the Sunderland one comes out, and we all come in and we say, the one coach I want to see behind the scenes is Bob Bradley.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine trying to do it, but I'd love to see it. What was it like working with him? How special was it? What's he like?
Well, special, unique, rewarding, challenging, all of those words I think are apt. I went to Yale as an undergrad, and I covered the soccer team when I think it was the last year that Bob was at Princeton. And he was very gracious and intense then. And when our first day of production, we hadn't even really started shooting. We just sort of, the project had been greenlit. I got introduced to the club, and Bob knew I had gone to Yale and gave me, guff about it because he's a Princeton guy. I mean, that shows you the level of preparation. He knew most coaches don't have any idea or don't give or anything about who the producers are or anything. He knew who I was, where I went to school, and was prepared to challenge me on it from day one. So that gives you an idea. I mean, he is without question one of the most intense human beings I've ever been around in sports or otherwise. And he really is a leader. He projects it. He demands respect from everyone. And I think what is cool about Bob, really, and is unique, is he obviously, what we show in the series is that he's not afraid to call guys out, and he's not afraid also to bring them close when he needs to. And he was like that with us. And he allows you, to his credit, he's not always going to be, super Mr. Sunshine about everything, but he allows you to have your take. I think that's kind of maybe one of the secrets of why he's successful, and why he's had staying power in a variety of different environments is he challenges people, but there's no malice there. You know what I mean? He wants to have the best project. He wants to have a great show. And so we would have back and forth, but again, he was incredibly generous with his time. A lot of coaches wouldn't have given this access, and with our questions and interviews, and so it was really rewarding. I mean, he is a unique guy.
So if you watch the documentary, I've seen some snippets. We started to watch this morning.
I had to pull myself away. So I was in binge mode,
I
had to pull myself
All
away.
10 episodes right now on ESPN Plus. Go watch them. That is your perfect preparation leading up in the season. You get Bob in the locker room after games at halftime. You get him in those private moments. That's what these documentaries are all about. Now, John, I have to ask you here about your favorite scene, and I imagine you have a lot, and I think back to your experience as an intern with MLS. Summer 97, baby.
Yeah.
And I have to think that fuels some of this as far as what you find to be the best sort of content. What'd you like?
There's a lot. I mean, this was a real. I mean, it's kind of a cliche to say it's a passion project. I mean, I'm a 1%er of sports geekery across many sports, but I think because of all the sports I played soccer, at the high, not as a professional, but I was varsity soccer player in high school, and it's just been something it's been so incredibly passionate about for a long time. And because you mentioned I was an intern in 1997, the second year of MLS. It's almost like a lifetime ago, but I remember the days when you almost had to defend, or excuse your soccer fandom. I went to the World Cup in 1998, went to the US-Iran game in Lyon, France. So it's very personal for me. So I have a lot of pride about where the league has come and being able to do a project like this for ESPN. I would say, in terms of my favorite moments, there are several. I mean, the interview with Will Ferrell was really, really incredible to do. All the times we had we shot with him on a couple of opportunities. You'll see his presence, I'll call it, sprinkled into multiple episodes. That was a real highlight. I think the shoot we did, I believe it's in episode 4, with the hydration test, where you really get a great sense of Carlos Vela's personality and really kind of the behind-the-scenes vibe that a team really has. There's lots of downtime in professional sports, and how the guys interact and the sense of humor they show. I thought that was great. Also, the fine wheel, which I think is in episode 8, I believe. The LAFC had a sort of a demerit system for when guys, misbehaved or did something, and they would spin a wheel and you have to pay money towards a fine, and you'll see that scene with Benny Feilhaber. I also think, both as a fan of the game, of the league, and as a producer, the knockout round game against RSL was really unique for me. I was kind of all over the Bank of California Stadium. Was in 3252, was on the field, was in the owner's box during that game, which was, obviously did not have a happy result for LAFC, but it was such a wild game. I've never seen anything quite like it. Where, I think RSL had 3 goals on officially 2 shots, and It was just all of these things happening at once, both for the team, what it meant for our series, the raw emotion. I mean, that was the first time in my career I've spent this much time with a franchise, with a club, with a team, and, really seeing it and feeling it, the disappointment, because, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn or unbiasedly or biasedly rather to say I think when LAFC was playing its best, it could play with it was, if not the best team, certainly it had it had the look of a team that could win the MLS Cup. It really did. I thought they were as good, maybe not better than Atlanta or Red Bull New York, but as good. And I thought that they had a chance to really make a run. And so to see it finish that way was, disappointing, but also kind of great emotion for the show.
Heartbreak, levity, behind the scenes with Bob Bradley. What more could you want? All 10 episodes on ESPN Plus right now. This has been Jon Weinbach, the executive producer. You know him from 30 for 30 and many, many other projects in the world of sports. Jon, thank you so much for making this, for putting your time and effort behind it, and we are going to enjoy it over the course of this week, okay?
Thanks a ton, guys.
All right, appreciate it, Jon. Of course, we're going to break. On the other side, the mailbag, our Baerantees and your Baerantees.
Are you watching the games or just looking at the stats? Email the show at extratime@mlssoccer.com, tweet at extratime, or text the Hot Take hotline with any questions or reactions.
Back now on Extra Time, driven by Continental here in the studios in New York City. To my right is a legend of the game.
Wow.
Ben Bear.
Yeah,
what is it when you're a legend and then you drop way off? What do they call that?
I mean, legend is one word.
Wash.
A hero would be a different word that I would use. Is I'm the hero of Extra Time. Formerly Extra Time Radio, but now just Extra Time.
Gotcha.
No.
Just Extra Time.
Americans love a great comeback story.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it a comeback story?
Ben is
You were trash last year.
You went soft.
I heard you guys in the
Terrible.
first segment trashing me, and Goss took like 2 points that I gave him right before the segment.
That was not
I stole
trashing
them.
you. That was a hard truth. We're trying to raise your level here through constructive feedback.
I imagine
that constructive feedback is you were trash last.
Because the loop is usually the other way, where I offer the constructive feedback. So now on this, you guys have to offer the constructive feedback.
Just think of this like Bob Bradley at halftime or post game after a loss. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you don't want to hear it.
Yep.
But you have to internalize it and move on and apply that lesson.
Ben,
we are LAFC, by the
Ben,
way.
it's your mentality.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that the Brad Friedel?
Mentality. Yeah, it is the Brad Friedel. That was the Bobby.
Culture.
Yeah.
LAFC documentary is out on ESPN Plus. Of course, we just chatted with Jon Weinbach about that. It's going to be really cool. Can't wait to go home and binge that one. A lot to get excited about before the opening day on Saturday. One of those things is MLS Fantasy. It is back.
Mm-hmm.
You are our guru of fantasy, Ben. So for those people who haven't yet signed up or don't know about the game or don't know why they should play, give them the quick elevator pitch.
Well, some would say guru. Some others at this table might say I'm trash.
You were last year.
Yeah, that's fair. That wasn't good last year. No, easy to play, easy to win, easy to beat your friends, especially if they're going to be Doyle and Bobby this year. We didn't really change much in terms of the game. We've had a lot of changes over the years. Same thing, 2 seasons. Gold Cup break splits the 2 seasons. First prize is $1,500 in each season. The only real difference I would say is the price changes a little bit. Have not as big rises and falls per player, and then you can only pick 3 players per team this year, not 4,
which is big.
Yeah,
it's huge. You can't load up on, let's say, on clean sheets, for instance.
Right. The Red Bulls defense was always a good pick.
So I can't sign every FC Cincinnati defensive midfield.
No, we'll have there'll be more lineup diversity this year, but also go and watch our Periscopes every Tuesday. Fantasy United FC. 12 on Tuesday afternoons.
Real Sporting Fantasy United FC Evergrande is the full name.
And visit MLSoccer.com for all the good stuff.
So, of course, we have a Classic League. We'll tweet out the link, but it is public. So if you want to play in it, you can just go find it. Go search Extra Time. It's right there. I didn't promote it at all, and we already have 150 people in there. So
nice.
People are finding it. They're sneaking their way in. I have a question for you guys. Should we do a head-to-head league for the show? Should we do a 30-person head-to-head league with us?
Mm-hmm.
So there's 5 here, and then you're saying Kaylin Carr, Susanna, and I'm going to say Charlie Davies, who's going to make a lot of
talent,
appearances.
We're not going to bring the behind-the-scenes crew in as well.
Oh, good point. Producer Anders has got to be a part of this, and we'll talk to our audio engineer,
Galena
Carlos.
beat me by 100 points.
Yeah, Galena was really good last year.
I think we'll maybe have to bring Galena in. But
I think we need to force Carlos on.
So was
Carlos,
our social person, Taylor. Taylor won our office league in the fall last year.
So we'll put together a head-to-head league, and we might start it in week 2. Or if we can think of a reason to, choose applicants, we'll get to it earlier. But go sign up for MLS Fantasy. It's back. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can play with us. Classic League is out there. Extra Time, Baerantee time.
Mm-hmm.
So if those of you out there, if you don't know what a Baerantee is, this guy right here, Ben Bear, spawned this by predicting that the Seattle Sounders would not make the playoffs in, what was it, July?
It was August 1st, 2016.
Should we go find that old tweet and retweet it?
Don't think we need to.
No, he said it
knows
on the
date.
show.
He
I know the
knows
date.
But I just feel like it would be worth retweeting.
No, I also said it on the show. I don't know. It might have been 2 days before that or 2 days after that.
Yeah,
But the tweet that gets retweeted by a lot of people is August 1st.
How many retweets does that thing have?
Not as many as you would think. I think a lot of people quote tweeted it.
We're losing stats.
The ratio is questionable. Of course, the Seattle Sounders went on to win MLS Cup that year.
Yes, they did.
So it is a prediction where you go out on a limb and you may look stupid or you may look really, really smart. And we're going to do our player Baerantees.
What was your Baerantee last year, Ben?
Oh, wait, I didn't do a player one.
Oh, wow. Doesn't follow directions. I don't care about last year, Ben. I just want this year.
He Baeranteed Atlanta would get 70 points last year, by the way.
That was with 3 weeks left in the season, just for the record.
Oh, nice. What's your Baerantee?
The player one?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to go Zlatan is Baerantee, but, I listened to the first segment, so I'm not going to use that. I'm going to say BWP is going to score 20 goals again.
Wow.
In odd years, he has not scored 20 goals. In even years, he has. So I'm going to say he breaks that streak, gets another 20 goals.
Are you going all comps? Because I'm even willing to throw you
MLS.
all comps. Wow, all right.
Scoring 20 goals in MLS this year.
A true Baerantee would never allow the all comps to be included.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, Bobby.
It's just me throwing money at the under.
Yes. Yes.
You guys, in
Doyle,
3 weeks, Bobby's just going to be bloodshot every show, being like, Doyle, you're hungry? What's the over-under on that? What's the over-under?
Don Badji scores 14 or more goals in regular season play.
Okay. I'm going to go one better for you.
All right.
Don Baggio scores 15?
Angelo scores 15 goals in regular season.
Wow.
Angelo Rodriguez of Minnesota
Bobby,
United.
hit the under, Bobby.
That's what Baerantees are about. I'm going out of limb. 20 goals and assists for Barco. 15 for Angelo. He's going to find a way. Adrian Heath believes
He may never even get a starting job back, just for the
Adrian
record.
Heath believes in him.
Romario Ibarra is going to start the season.
Well, then I'll look stupid.
I think.
Well,
and that's part of what this is about.
Auxiliary Warshaw take. You start David Goss on an MLS team for 34 games and tell him to either run far post or near post every time the ball's in the box.
I'd score 10.
Yeah, you get at least 12.
Yeah, I get at least 12.
Yeah.
So this idea, like
at least.
So
Bobby hasn't seen all Megan's Friends FC play before.
Stop. I scored the tying goal in the final, and I scored the game-winning.
I'm not
goal.
going to. We're not litigating co-ed soccer.
People need to understand now that David is an animal.
All right, what's your
animal.
Baerantees?
That one
You
fan
had the
in
aside
Seattle,
there.
by the way,
What's
is
the
really
Baerantees?
going to be pumped. You want my team one?
Yeah, left side of the or right side of the table here.
Yeah. No team in MLS will break 60 points.
Wow. When was the last
That's
time
a
that
good
even
one.
happened?
2 years ago, 3 years ago. When
Not that long
Dallas
ago.
won supportership.
They had 60 points.
FC
They had
Dallas-
60.
They had 6. Yeah.
I think
I
you
said
Red
6
Bulls.
break 60. You can get to 60.
Okay.
You can't break
So,
60.
so no team's going to go over 60 points.
Yes.
So the over-under is 60.5.
I got
Yes.
panned
Got it,
for
okay.
Angelo.
I'm going to hit. I'm gonna
No,
hit the over.
because
Bobby, what's the hand sign for hitting the over?
Taylor
Even
said
come
it,
with a player guarantee, and you
but
just
Taylor
get off
said it in
scot-free.
Seg 2. The worst teams are not as bad, I think,
Okay,
this year.
Bobby, what's your guarantee?
Zlatan will have less goals and assists per 90 in 2019 than he had in 2018.
Oh.
That's not that, I don't know.
Fewer.
That's pretty weak.
Ben, it's not if you were on the show and you heard
I
Doyle
heard
say
the
he
first
scored
segment.
75 goals.
Yeah, I heard that. That's whatever. But if he plays, how many games did he play last year? Like 25, 26?
Yeah.
If he plays 30 and his goals and assists per 90 drop, his numbers will still be amazing.
Yeah, but the whole point of the guarantee is to measure it in the terms that he gave.
I understand. I just think it's weak.
Do you want to give?
Yeah,
your-
I think it's kind of weak too, but it's fine. It's Bobby. He's mentally weak.
do you want to give?
I'm going to give a player
I had
one
a team one ready.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go.
That's what
I want you all to know in the comments section, Bobby reads all of those, and you're hurting his feelings. You're hurting his feelings badly.
What's your team guarantee? We'll go to the list.
I'm going to go out a limb here, even though we were just talking about Angelo a little bit. I'm going to say Minnesota's going to go ahead and make the playoffs.
Do they host a playoff game? Get real
not gonna
spicy.
go that far.
I'm asking you to get spicy.
I think saying Minnesota's going to make the playoffs, considering what their first two
It's
seasons
not
are
actually because they both picked Minnesota to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but
Or did you both
I
pick
don't remember.
Colorado?
yeah.
You both picked Colorado.
I'm pretty sure I picked Minnesota.
only like one or two of the six of us who put in the season preview, which you should also check on MLSsoccer.com. I think only two people picked them to make the playoffs.
Okay.
I was one of those people.
That's our Baerantees for this year. Send us your team Baerantees, ExtraTime at MLSsoccer.com, at ExtraTime on Twitter, 401-2060-MLS. Text us those. Por favor, I will also send out the official seal of Baerantee on the Twitter account. Once again, it is time for listener Baerantees. There's a love fest going on over here on this side of the table.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys.
This is a strong side. That's why we're the strong side, because we
Gotcha.
have great team chemistry.
All right.
I'm going to throw these out there. You guys let me know if you think they're strong Baerantees. Home Sweet Soccer on Twitter. Both Kai Kamara and Diego Rubio go 10 goals, 10 assists plus this year.
Very strong.
That's very strong.
Given that Kai has never had double-digit assists in his MLS career. That's extremely
if you're
strong.
telling me they both go for double-digit goals and combine for 10 assists total,
That's not what he's saying.
okay.
No.
So it's a good Baerantee then.
Yes, it is a good
All right,
Baerantee.
so then we're going to put that one down. King Rothgar on Twitter, Jeremy Abobasi, and Marvin Loria combined for 20 goals / assists.
What do you have Abobasi going for goals and assists this year?
To be fair, I think Diego Valeri and Ben Baer also go for 20 assists.
I'm pretty good on the ball. I don't know.
I think Abobas is going to have something like 11 and 5. And like I would probably hit the over on both of those numbers, but 11 and 5, and that gives 4 for Loria, who's I think their 4th string winger.
Yeah, something like that.
Call it strong. Went on a limb. Like it.
That's fine.
By the way, if you sent us more than one in the same message, you have to hit all of them to win at the end of the show. So this isn't easy for you. Tyler Bartles here. New England Revolution figured out, finished top 4 in the East behind 20 combined goals and assists from Diego Fagundes and Carlos Gil, and Brad Fiedel still balled at the end of the season.
The bald part, that's a guarantee. You can guarantee. That's not even a guarantee. It's just
Not a guarantee.
that's life. This is a good one because it is very much out there.
So it's 20 combined goals and
No,
20
each.
combined assists?
No, isn't
Each. It's
Isn't
basically
each-
the Barco Baerantee for both
Yes, for both of
Fagundes
them.
and Heel. Plus their top 4 in the East.
Carlos
Now,
Heel has like 2 goals in the past like 5 years. So
this
he'd have to
is-
get a
this is
lot of
insane.
assists.
Like this is against the spirit of Baerantees because there's like a 0% chance that it happens.
ridiculous. Oh
So you guys are in on this one.
I'm in on that one. Yeah.
This one is from...
Can we pick some Baerantees that actually have a chance of happening?
This one's from MLS Reddit. ETR hosts will quote a comment or story they saw first on Reddit MLS and get called out by Doyle or Weeby for not giving us a shout out.
Yeah,
don't
that's
do
that's
that.
a
We love
I direct
MLS
your
Reddit.
grammar.
yeah, that's what he does. I'll just say that this show is basically MLS Reddit, just in audio form.
And I think we feel pretty good about
Yeah,
that.
decent, yeah.
Mike Hartstad on Twitter. Minnesota makes the playoffs. A-Rod becomes a bench player, and the Green Room crew still avoid talking about Minnesota United. You have to get all of those, which means if you're close, I'm talking about Minnesota United every show.
Well, the first 2 we
That's a-
already predicted.
Yeah.
And also, that's
No,
that's
like,
reverse
he had
motivation
A-Rod
right there.
MVP
Well, I'm saying-
or something.
I know that's reverse motivation. That's just basically trolling us to talk about Minnesota United.
I think that's all people do
Yeah, basically.
in general. Sean Lopez here. Colorado Rapids score more goals this season than Toronto FC.
Wow. So I like this one. This is like a Sean, like in the spirit of things right there, because it seems like it's going to be wrong if you just don't think about it too deeply. And then you take a look, and like Benny Feilhaber still has some juice. Kai still has some juice. Diego Rubio, we all like him. Shinyashiki, we all agree he's probably going to be one of the best rookie attackers. And then they have, both fullbacks are going to bomb up and provide service. Kellen's got some juice. I like it. This could happen.
This could be like 45 goals for TFC maybe and 50 for Colorado. 50 is a lot of goals though.
Yeah.
How many they scored like 30 goals last year?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
I mean, I know it's all new
36,
players.
if I remember
but
correctly. Yeah, I think it was 36.
also you have Nicholas Mosqueda potentially starting. It's either going to be him or Cole Bassett, I guess.
Bassett started as a
I know he
six.
started in the preseason game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if Nicholas Mosqueda is your 10, I think he has what?
Yeah,
like
4 assists in
11
5 years.
If
yeah, 11
TFC
assists.
get Pozuelo, no chance this happens.
I don't want to say no chance.
Josie still has to stay healthy, but if Josie's not healthy and they don't get Pozuelo, I will take the Rapids.
They need Pozuelo, but they also need a winger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Right now, their wingers are Justin Morrow and Nick DeLeon.
And Griffin Dorsey. Go Griffin Dorsey.
And Ayo Akinola.
Here's the parlay for Sean, though. Zardes beats out all comers for starting striker during the Gold Cup, wins the Golden Boot, and U.S. fans actually rate him by the end of the year. So he has to hit both of those.
Yeah, well, the problem is that the last one will never be hit.
Never happen.
So it can't happen.
And Jasper Mullerin says Josie scores 20-plus goals, Pozuelo bags 20-plus assists, TFC back in the playoffs.
20-plus assists?
Yeah.
That's only ever happened twice. By the way.
We asked for Baerantees.
I know.
We
I
asked for
think
people
they
to be
overplayed
unlike
the
Ben.
boldness, but maybe not.
Sean literally wrote, none of
Pozuelo-
these are soft Ben Bear predictions.
I like that.
Pozuelo, he's not going to play more than 30 games, let's say.
We'll call Ben in
You're gonna get-
mid-season to tell us that the last place team won't make the playoffs.
The Josie one is good, right? It's in the spirit. The Pozuelo one is just like, I'm making wild predictions. Please pay attention to me.
Well,
That's not in the spirit of Baerantees.
Right.
Let's go. This one's a good parlay. Massimo Abruzzi says, 1, Jordan Morris coming off torn ACL gets more goals and assists than Ezekiel Barco this season.
I like
that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
2, TFC misses the playoffs. 3, the MVP race will...
last year.
Yeah, that's not a...
Okay, well, but he has to get all 4.
Okay.
3, the MVP race will be between Lucho Acosta and Zlatan, unless, caveat, Acosta gets sold in the summer.
You know, we have not mentioned Lucho Acosta once on this prediction show. Probably a mistake on our part. Just got to throw that out there.
And the 4th one is Kendall Wasson finishes the season without a red card.
Wow.
That's a take.
That one, that's a bold Baerantee. Kendall Wasson couldn't finish.
I like that. Like that 4-team parlay right there is pretty good.
He's got to hit them all. Evan Ream, shout out to Evan Ream, says he was too lazy to Photoshop his. He says Houston will advance the farthest in CCL. Or furthest. He's not really sure which one to use.
It's furthest.
There you go. So
Just
that's what it says.
for all grammar questions, straight to Matt Doyle.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Actually, straight to my wife.
These two are
This
pretty
is what my life is like at home. I say something and immediately get corrected.
These two are pretty much Doyle trolls. Here's my Baerantee. After a year of Matt Doyle trashing Dome Torrent for tinkering with NYCFC style and roster, he will start writing articles on how good of a coach he is after the midway point of the season. Dome will be a Coach of the Year candidate at the end of the year.
Okay.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's actually a good one.
I mean, if they played a 4-2-3-1 pretty simple, straightforward stuff in the preseason. A little bit of a wrinkle on the left side with Mitricha, how they're using him. It was fun looking. It was interesting looking. If it works and he sticks with it, and NYCFC are a top 3 team in the league, then yeah, I'll probably write that.
Andrew Lunning from KC. I apologize for not using Twitter. It's okay. You guys can send us things any way you want. After not making the 18 for Sporting versus Toluca on Thursday, Johan Kroze will have more MLS minutes than Jonathan Lewis this season. Hashtag play your DPs. Hashtag play your kids. To quote Doyle, but I'm not a troll.
Bobby just took off his headphones.
I mean, now that Milton Valenzuela is hurt, Johan Kroze is probably the best DP left back in the league.
There you go. And let's close out the Baerantees on some weird Lucas Milano love that all of a sudden happened. Ben Stern, he's got a 2-parter here. Merritt Paulson will actually stick to his word and stay off Twitter all season long. Also, Lucas Milano will score the first ever hat trick in Timbers regular season history. That's from Ben and Beaverton. And then Eric DeVore says, my Baerantee says, 1, that the Timbers will get top 3 in the West as their Soccer City USA. 2, they'll get points from at least 7 of their first 12 road games. And his boldest one, Lucas Milano will score 12 to 15 goals this season with at least 7 assists. I don't know where all this came from.
You know, the Doyle's head blows quartet will be Dome gets Coach of the Year, Pedro Santos scores more than 10 goals, Johan Kroze makes his way into just the starting 11, and Lucas Milano starts over Jeremy Abobasi. Well, give me that.
I mean, they tried it in preseason.
Parlay.
And Abobasi just killed him. Abobasi just completely outplayed him.
To me,
and that's why the discussion about, there needs to be a high-level TAM DP striker for Abobasi to push Abobasi for him to compete with so he reaches a higher level. They spent $3 million on Lucas Milano. He is a TAM striker. They already have that competition.
Well, I think Timbers fans are just trying to will this into happening.
Potentially. Let's close out on Adam. He sent us a nice email, so I'd like to read it. Hey guys, I'd like to preface this by saying I love you all, and I think of each of you bring a positive quality to the show. That said, listening to Bobby's statement of the club was like listening to a college student read aloud a term paper where they use a thesaurus for every other word in an effort to sound more intelligent. You set out to make a coherent argument, but in the end, sounded like you were confusing yourself. Keep it simple, Bobby. This is a podcast, not a peer-reviewed journal entry. Next, I appreciate Doyle attempting to bring a level of class and sophistication to his statements of the club by choosing quotes from well-known authors. But know your audience, meaning the people in the room hosting with you, not necessarily the listeners. Don't pretend to be surprised when nobody knows who originally said the quote you're using. Picking vague quotes from famous writers isn't the same as picking a famous quote. Listening to his explanations reminded me of when someone uses an obscure acronym and then immediately tells you what it stands for because they're assuming you don't know and most likely didn't want you to know, so that would take the joy out of explaining the meaning. The smartest guy in the room never acts like he's the smartest guy in the room.
I'm the exception that proves the rule.
And then he, for me and Weeby, goes, and for Weeby and Goss, nothing you said stood out. So I got nothing.
Well, I think that's a good place to end the show. Big thanks for you to watching or listening or what have you. Please go subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts. We are now on YouTube at MLS's channel, so go check that out as well. Big thanks to Taylor Twellman. You'll see a lot of him on this show this year. Jon Weinbach, that ESPN Plus documentary on LAFC. We Are LAFC. It is out now. Go check it out. Big thanks to the Bird Dog, Sam Stejskal. And last, but certainly not least, second assists go to our producer, Anders Arhus, and our audio engineer, Carlos Fonseca. We cannot do this show without them. That's it from us. We'll be back on Thursday with Alexi Lawless, the Bird Dog, and much more. Enjoy your week, everybody.